The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
For the first time in 2016, they're playing in Wildcat Country. For the 28th straight time, they should sell out Bill Snyder Family Stadium, as today, Kansas State for the Big 12 takes on the Florida Atlantic Owls out of Conference USA in a non-conference matchup of Fox College football presented by Coyote Tractor. Find a dealer at coyotetractor.com. It's the last Saturday of summer. It's great to have you with us. With Ben Lieber, I'm Mark Followell. And let's talk Kansas State, the only team of the Big 12, Ben, to have played just one game. So a bit of a mystery. They went on the road. They played 8th-ranked Stanford, played them tough, lost by 13 points. We look at the Big 12. Looks pretty wide open early on this year. Kansas State forecast to finish 8th in this conference, but they appear to have the tools and the skill set to be better in the conference than many predicted.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you look at the conference as a whole. You know, OU's kind of struggled a little bit. They show that they're mortal. TCU struggled out the gates a little bit. And Baylor, to me, is not quite as explosive as they have been in the past. And when you look at this K-State team, what they showed last week against Stanford, they are led by, I think, the best front seven defensively in the conference. You've got Will Geary up front. You've got you got Dante Barnett in the back end. The front seven is so strong. If Jesse Ertz, this quarterback, and this receiving core can come together offensively, I truly think this is a team that can compete in the Big 12.
Well, we'll see today if they can put their best foot forward for the first time in 2016. At home in Manhattan to kick off against Florida Atlantic right after this on Fox College Football. For the first time, they're taking the field in 2016 in Manhattan. Mark Followell and Ben Lieber in the booth here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium on an 80-degree Saturday afternoon in Manhattan, Kansas. It's going to be a packed house. Somewhere in the sea of purple in this home opener is Leslie McCaslin.
Hey, guys, I think I have the best seat in the house. You missed a sellout crowd. That is what they are expecting. I am in the student section. They are loving this. 50,000 are expected here today. Bill Snyder is 22-2 in home openers. I think Kansas State fans are calling for a win. They are excited. This is the latest they have played a home opener since 2001. For some football here in Manhattan. Mark, back to you.
All right, thank you, Leslie. And if you didn't hear, 22-2 is the home opener record for Kansas State under Bill Snyder, now in his 25th year. 193 wins. Today, his 297th game as head coach. Now, the question is, for Charlie Partridge in Florida Atlantic, now in his 3rd season from Plantation, Florida, 42 years old. They've already played this year, Ben, at Miami. Going on the road as a Conference USA team against Power 5 schools in intimidating atmospheres is nothing new for Florida Atlantic. And they've been playing Power 5 teams as of late on the road. They have been certainly competitive at times. Now they're looking to finish the deal in this sea of purple today.
Well, and you look at last week, and they were competitive. They were competitive for about a quarter and a half, and I think the heat and the size of the competition kind of got to them a little bit, especially in the run game. But they didn't flinch. I mean, this big environment, this Big 12 environment, sea of purple that we talk about, you know, this is not too big for his team. So I don't expect them to come out in this game and get slow to start. They're going to be ready to go. They don't flinch in these big environments. It's a big test for them, though.
Kansas State won the toss. They deferred their option until the second half. Florida Atlantic will have the ball on offense to start the game. Florida Atlantic does have one win to their credit this year against FCS opponent Southern Illinois, 38-30. Losing last week to Miami, 38-10. Kansas State 7-0 all-time against Conference USA, although they needed to go triple overtime last year to beat Louisiana Tech. Florida Atlantic 0-8 against the Big 12, including a loss here 10 years ago by a final of 45-0. Gareth White in the return game at the 5, made it over the 15, stopped at the 17. Flag is down on the return. And we'll hear this Big 12 crew. Brandon Cruz, the referee.
During the return, hold receiving team number 4, half the distance to the goal. Down.
It's going to be a problem for Florida Atlantic starting in bad field position. Their quarterback is a sophomore from Oviedo, Florida. It's Jason Driscoll, man.
Well, and Jason's really come in and won the spot in the preseason. You know, you're going to see this kind of, they have this no huddle, no mercy mentality. They're not going to huddle up. They're going to get to the line. Sometimes they go quick. Sometimes they assess the defense, but he does a good job of managing the game in this no huddle offense.
Just one turnover in 2 games. That was an interception. He'll fake a handoff to Buddy Howell. He's able to slip away from Shermichael Moore on a blitz on the bootleg. He rolls out. He decides to run and has a first down as this drive starts from the 8. But Dante Barnett brings down Driscoll after an 11 or 12-yard scramble.
Well, I think that's what you're going to see throughout this football game. He's very athletic. He can throw the ball, but don't sleep on him. If he sees man coverage in an opening, he's going to take it.
Has 1 rushing touchdown this year. Now he's going to throw it to Caleb Woods, and Woods scoots up the sideline. Another flag comes out at the end of the play. Already 2 positive plays for Florida Atlantic's offense. A scramble by Driscoll, then a pass from Driscoll to Caleb Woods, and we're waiting to see what the penalty is.
And I think you're going to get a late hit out of bounds.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense, number 1, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
We're going to see Kendall Adams, number 21, give the little extra. You know, if you're asking me, I don't think that was a late hit out of bounds. I didn't think I heard a whistle beforehand. I don't think he stepped out of bounds. So it's an interesting call there on the 3rd play.
A running play for the first time for Buddy Howell up to midfield, gains 4 yards. Ben, let's talk impact players, Owls offense, Wildcat defense.
Well, you're going to see a lot of Buddy Howell. He's a one-cut downhill runner, and Caleb Woods, he's their deepest threat on the outside. Elijah Lee, a linebacker that flies all over the place, and young Reggie Walker on the outside, a redshirt freshman, had a great game in his first game against Stanford last week. They love his athletic ability. Watch for him making plays in the backfield.
DJ Reed, the tackle, the 2nd reception already for Caleb Woods, who grabbed 9 passes last week in the loss to Miami. Woods, number 4, is a junior from Jacksonville, Florida. They've only run it with a back 1 time. There's also been a quarterback scramble. Now here's Devin Singletary, just his 2nd carry of the year. And Singletary straight ahead to the Kansas State 40 for a gain of 3 before stopped by Elijah Lee.
You know, this is going to be a part of the game for FAU that's going to be interesting, that you want to establish the run, as everybody does. But this front 7 for K-State is so strong, so well-disciplined. If they can get success early in this football game, it can be awfully dangerous on the outside.
Elijah Lee led Kansas State in tackles last year and led them last week against Stanford. Now here's a pass in the flat. Nowhere to go. Devin Singletary doesn't even make it back to the line of scrimmage. A loss of a yard on the pass, and Elijah Lee was in on that tackle. So was Dante Barnett and Duke Shelley.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of Dante Barnett. He, along with Jesse Ertz, the quarterback, got injured the first game of the season last year. Banged up his shoulder, had to sit out. He is the heartbeat of this defense. The quarterback of this defense, you're going to see him at the line of scrimmage. He'll play center field. He makes plays everywhere.
Florida Atlantic has struggled on 3rd downs in 2 games, just 29%. Blitz, underneath throw. Singletary makes 1 man miss. Then he's chased down from behind by Tanner Wood, the junior defensive end from Conway Springs, Kansas.
And this is a reoccurring theme as well that you're going to see throughout this football game. The defense for Kansas State, they do such a good job disengaging from blocks. They get a screen pass. Everybody's rushing upfield. They're taught to stick their foot in the ground, retrace their steps, get to the ball carrier, and they do that as well as anybody else in the Big 12.
4th and 4 is what's left for Florida Atlantic. They've driven from their own 8 to the Kansas State 37. They appear prepared to punt on 4th and 4 at the 37. Dalton Schomp has a big leg, but they'll be calling on him to pin Kansas State deep, and puts The Wildcats at the 11-yard line as Jesse Ertz, the starting quarterback, takes the field for the second time in 2016.
Well, you know, you got to expect he's going to be a little slow from last week. You know, last year he only had 1 snap, or 2 snaps, but 1 real effective snap. He got hurt last year. He was a little slow against Stanford. They want to see how he can kind of compete with a bye week, get all those nerves, those jitters out of the way. He's fast, very fast. There's a guy by the name of Michael Bishop that played here for many years. They say he's faster and quicker than Michael Bishop. He's got a strong arm, and he's so resilient. Talk about the injury. He's had 2 ACLs. He tore an MCL last year as well. This kid is mentally tough.
The backfield is Charles Jones and fullback Winston Dimmel. Winston Dimmel, a preseason all Big 12 selection. Dimmel will shift over as an H-back, and they will run the ball with Ertz, the quarterback. This drive starts at the 11, and Ertz, after faking to Jones, will race off to the left side for 7 yards.
You know, when we talked to him yesterday, he talked about what gets him involved in the game. How does he get in a rhythm? And for a quarterback to say, I need to be put on the ground a little bit, I need to be hit, you know, that's the mentality of this player. He wants to run the football. It's a big part of their offense, the quarterback run game. Get him hit early and often, I think he's going to catch fire.
Ertz just ran for 7. Manageable second down. Charles Jones with a run inside, and Kansas State converts on 2nd down and 3. They'll move it out to the 24-yard line. As Ben, we talk impact players for the Wildcats offense and the Owls defense.
Well, just like FAU, K-State wants to come out and establish the run game, and they're going to do that with Charles Jones, but also Dalvin Warmack. Watch for him. Doesn't get a ton of carries, but he's the most explosive guy that they have in the backfield. And Byron Pringle, the JUCO transfer, they think he's the next great receiver here at K-State. Azeez Al-Shaair, this is a linebacker that I love to watch. He's slippery, he's slithery, makes a lot of plays. Trey Hendrickson up front is one of the best players in Conference USA.
Deontay Burton was in motion. Ertz faked the handoff underneath to the fullback, who catches and goes down. Winston Dimmel up near the 30.
And you'll see a lot of Winston Dimmel too. They don't throw to their tight ends as much. They haven't. They had 1 pass last week. First time they've thrown to a tight end in 14 games. But you will see a lot of fullback out of the backfield. Winston Dimmel does a good job of blocking up front. He'll block those linebackers in the run game. But you have to watch out. He's awfully sneaky out of the backfield catching the football as well.
Last year caught 8 passes for 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. That gain went for 5 to Dimmel. Charles Jones. Florida Atlantic's defense stands tall, and Jones had to fight for the 2 yards that he picked up. Trey Hendrickson and Al-Shaair, Azeez Al-Shaair, the linebacker that is, bringing down the running back Jones.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you look at these 2 teams on tape. Both of them, I talked about K-State's front 7, very tough up front, hard to run on the inside. You know, FAU's defense is a lot of the same similar characteristics. They're very strong up front. If you're going to make plays on them, you have to throw to the outside. They struggle a little bit in the open field tackling and getting to the ball carrier.
3rd down and 3. Dominic Keith in motion. Ertz steps up. Gonna run. Has the first down. On the scramble, Jesse Ertz running the ball for the 2nd time. Jalen Young forced him out, but Kansas State able to convert because of the sweet feet of the QB.
You know, this is going to be tough. If you're the defensive coordinator, Rock Bellantoni, you have to watch out and be careful when you call man coverage, because we talked about the athleticism of Jesse Ertz. He recognizes man coverage. Everybody's bottled up, but once he sees that opening in that void on the right side of the field, he's going to take it. It's going to be awfully tough to dial up man pressure against this guy.
Gained 11 yards. Kansas State coming off a 6-7 season. They lost in the Liberty Bowl to Arkansas last year. Ertz is going to run again for the 3rd time. Now there's a marker down. The keeper by Ertz will put them up near midfield. The play right now is a gain of 6, but will it stay?
Offense number 62. 10-yard penalty. It's 1st down.
Left guard Tyler Mitchell.
And for a second there, I thought it was going to be Dalton Reisner. He was standing there. You know, you've got that look with your hands up in the air looking at the official. But 62 just gets him, wraps around. You got to let go. Once you feel that momentum is going forward, you just got to say, I lost that battle, let go, because you can't hurt your football team like this for a 10-yard penalty.
Mitchell is a redshirt freshman. 7 of the 10 offensive linemen on Kansas State's 2 deep are underclassmen. They're very young up front. A penalty cost them yardage back to the 32. And a pass off target looking for Dominique Keith.
Well, when we talk about what gets Jesse Ertz involved in this football game, it's running the football. He wants to get hit. Some players need that impact of either hitting the ground or a hard hit to kind of get their mental mindset going and thinking fast. And right now, I don't think he's had enough carries to really get in that groove as we saw that errant pass to Heath.
A holding penalties put them in a tough spot. An incompletion on 1st and 20. Delay handoff. Jones with room to run. And got back most of the penalty yardage.
You know, a lot of these draw plays, it's up to the offensive lineman not only to sell it, but then to get up the field. And you're going to see right here, Will Ash, the left guard, is going to set and then fold over the top, and then he's responsible for that second level linebacker. Gets a body, and a body does a good job. Running back does a good job of running off his hips.
Ash is a senior from Indianapolis. 10-yard running play. Kansas State with the play clock late has a 3rd and 10. Ertz with a throw, and a slant is caught. Deontay Burton spins off 1 tackle and is inside the Florida Atlantic 40. Big conversion for the leading receiver, Deontay Burton. 5 catches this year. Had 38 receptions last year. Man down right now for Florida Atlantic. And there's a timeout on the field. Stephen Leggett, defensive lineman, needing treatment after the Burton reception. No score in Manhattan, Kansas. 7 minutes in. Mark Followill, Ben Lieber, and let's get a report from Leslie McCaslin on the sideline. Leslie.
Well, guys, last year when they lost quarterback Jesse Ertz and safety Dante Barnett in the first game of the year, it was a huge blow to this team because they lost both of their captains, but also the quarterback of their offense and the quarterback of their defense. Now to have these guys back on the field, it's a huge boost for the Wildcats. Dante Barnett told us that this team has rallied around him. And when we talked about both of these guys this week, neither one said they were nervous. They've already had 1 game under their belt. They're just ready to get back out here and play in front of their home crowd again for the first time in over a year. Mark.
Well, Leslie, on a smaller scale, I think we just saw some resilience and bouncing back from adversity for Jesse Ertz, the quarterback. The offense penalized and had a 1st and 20. They were able to work, though, from their own 32. Ben, they converted on 3rd and 10, and the drive continues to the Owls' 39.
You know, and what a difference between these 2 players, because Ertz really, you know, he played 1-2 snaps last year, so this is a big moment for him to play in front of this crowd. This crowd has not really seen him put together a full football game, at least live and in person, whereas, you know, Barnett.
False start. Offense. Number 5-yard penalty. It's 1st down.
Whereas Barnett, you know, he's been here a while. He's played in front of this crowd, so it's easier for him just to kind of visualize pregame what the environment's going to be like. I have to think that as headstrong as Jesse Ertz is, he's still got to be pretty nervous to play in front of this crowd.
This is really out of character for Kansas State. 30 penalty yards in the opening half of the 1st quarter. Last year, the fewest penalty yards per game in the Big 12. 39 penalty yards on 5 infractions per game last year. Already 3 for 30. And we haven't even played 8 full minutes. 1st and 15. Ertz, fake handoff, rollout pass, caught out of bounds. Dominique Keith. Forced out by Jalen Young.
Well, you're going to see Dominique Keith just right here in the slot. He's going to sit down just in this little zone. It's a soft zone. Ertz sees that, gets the ball to him. That's how methodical this offense is. They don't need to pick up the 1st down on 1 play. Just pick up a small chunk. Now they're 2nd man.
9 yards to Heath, the sophomore from Huntersville, North Carolina. Justin Silman is running the ball from Tulsa. Strong run, but stood up shy of the 1st down. Probably need a yard coming up on 3rd down. Andrew Sorrow kept Kansas State from converting on 2nd and 6.
Well, and just like I was talking about, just another small chunk yardage play. Now you're at 3rd and 1, you know, maybe 3rd and 2. This is easy now for the offense. Now you can call, you know, some sort of quarterback run game, a boot, give the quarterback some options. Much more manageable than when they started on first down.
Not a style of offense that we're accustomed to seeing as much in this current state of college football, but enjoyable to watch. Now they're going Wildcat here, it looks like, with a direct snap to the running back, Charles Jones, first down. Well, you can see Charlie Partridge on the Florida Atlantic sideline. He's upset that they weren't on top of this. Jones, the direct snap, and runs it, Ben.
Well, just look at these splits. That's awfully hard on the 3rd and 2 situation. You see those big splits. You have to adjust accordingly. Those splits give your offensive line angles. And when you have angles and all you need is 2 yards, it's easy, especially on a direct snap to a running back with vision, to see that, hit that, and pick up a first down.
They're looking at Andrew Soro's right leg, it would appear. You've already heard us mention his name being in on a tackle. The sophomore from Miami is down right now. And you look at Florida Atlantic, it's all players from Florida. Only 6 players on their entire roster are from outside the state of Florida. They have 2 from Illinois, 1 from New Jersey, 1 from Georgia, a starting defensive lineman, Shalom Agbonda from Sugar Land, Texas, and 1 offensive lineman from Wisconsin. It is a heavily Florida-based roster because of the immense amount of talent, especially in South Florida, that Charlie Partridge tries to recruit from.
You'll see 14 Soro right there, comes in on the tackle. It's quite possibly with all those bodies, maybe he got rolled up on or something. Looks like he's walking off pretty good under his own power. Something to watch for to see if Soro can come back, because he's one of their best playmakers on defense. He started off the first 2 games as kind of their free safety, their field safety. They needed some more strength at the strong safety. Their boundary safety is what they call him, so they moved him back to that position, which he plays better. So kind of a big loss for them right now defensively.
Kansas State now 3 for 3 on 3rd downs after that conversion. The drive is at 11 plays, now 12. Sweeping, cutting, Charles Jones. Strong run inside the 15 of Florida Atlantic. Aziz Al-Shair stops him at the 14, but the drive keeps churning along.
You'll see Reed Navarre right there, 67, the center, pulls around. Look how patient Charles Jones is. Puts his hand on his back, waits for him to engage the blocker, then cuts off. Great running back discipline right there by Charles Jones.
There were 12 minutes left in the first quarter when this drive started. So it's chewed up over 6.5 minutes.
First charge timeout. Kansas State. Timeout on the field.
Kansas State hasn't scored yet, but they're in the red zone where they are normally fantastic. Back in 1997, a kid from Vermillion, South Dakota found his way to Manhattan, Kansas. 1998 to 2001 seasons, 3 straight 11-win seasons. Ben Lieber at linebacker, a 2-time All-Big 12 selection. In 2001, a 3rd-team All-American. Great days here led to great days in the NFL with the Chargers, Vikings, and Rams.
And it seems so long ago, so long ago.
Not when we see you work the field before the game, though, my friends. A lot of people in Manhattan, Kansas look forward for the chance to talk and shake hands with Ben Lieber. I can promise you that. At the 14, Winston Dimmel, the fullback, running the ball, hit in the backfield. And this will not get back to the line of scrimmage.
You know, very uncharacteristic right now to have Winston Dimmel as just the dot back, the lone back in the backfield. They go big personnel. They have 2 tight ends in the game. Tells the defense you're pretty much going to run the football, especially with the big guy in the backfield. Not exactly the ideal guy, I think, in this situation to kind of slash and find a hole. He's much better as a blocker and as a passer, leaking out to the flats.
Kansas State great in the red zone. Will they have to settle for 3? Let's see. 3rd down, option keeper. Ertz to the outside. They won't settle. They convert the 3rd down. He's in, but there's a marker down. So hold everything. Jesse Ertz reached the edge, Ben, on an option keeper for the quarterback, but a marker's down in a place that does not look good for the Wildcats.
No, it's never good whenever you have a play like that, especially it strings to the outside.
Holding. Offense, number 6. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's third down.
Deontay Burton, downfield blocking as a receiver, Ben.
Well, you have to ask your guys, you see them on the top of your screen, the receivers now have to catch the football, but especially in this offense, you have to be able to block and block legally. Defender turned his body, got his hands on him, pulled the jersey just a little bit. That's what they're looking for. That detachment of the jersey, that's going to throw the flag every time. So missed opportunity right there because the play was set up perfectly. Will Ash was out there. Winston Dimmel was out there blocking. They got the quarterback running the football, which is what they want. It's just you get a holding call on the outside.
Now it's 3rd down and 8 back at the 20. Slant pass, caught. This time they'll reach the end zone. No flags are down. It's Dominique Keith putting Kansas State on the board. Kansas State has now come away with a score on their last 29 trips into the red zone. Touchdown pass, 20 yards to Dominique Keith.
Well, and that's vintage Kansas State, very methodical. They get set back, they have some mental errors, but they march all the way down the field and see Dominique Keith on the slant pass for 6.
4 times they convert on 3rd down on that drive as Heath finds the end zone for the 3rd time in his career. Dominique Keith caught 2 touchdown passes in 2015. He catches his first of 2016. Had 4 grabs for 65 yards against Stanford on Friday night, September the 2nd. And Heath, with that reception of 20 yards, caps a 16-play, 89-yard drive. 5 for 5 on 3rd down conversions and taking up half of a quarter. 7 minutes and 37 seconds.
What I say? Methodical. This offense is methodical. They're going to take their time. They're going to make you make mistakes. They made a fair share of their own mistakes offensively, but more often than not, when they keep a defense on the field like that, they're going to test your discipline. They're going to test your mental fortitude, and they are going to win those drives most of the time. That 5 for 5 on 3rd down, that's a huge number. You have to get off on 3rd down for a defense, and they didn't do that for FAU.
Matthew McCrane hit the point after a moment ago. Ian Patterson handles the kickoffs, and that goes into the end zone for a touchback. Let's take one more look at the scoring pass play from Ertz to Heath.
You're going to see these double slants here, and that's really what set everything up. He does a good job of stemming the defender. He finds that soft little area, and it was the timing of the pass. Right when he stuck his outside foot in the ground and took that slant, Ertz delivered the strike. No defenders around. It was a nice play design in the red zone. And again, it's demoralizing for defense to be 5 opportunities for 3rd down. Can't get off the field. K-State's offense hurts themselves with penalties. They still can't get off the field. So a nice first drive for Kansas State.
Florida Atlantic's drive stalled out at the 37-yard line. Better field position this time. Bouncing to the outside is Singletary. This drive starts at their own 25 on the touchback. And Donnie Starks takes down Singletary after a 6-yard run.
You know, those are the type of plays that you're gonna want from your offense to get into single coverage, one-on-one tackles with this Kansas State defense. They will miss some tackles from time to time, but you have to make them pay. When they do that, they're so quick at making up for it in the defensive front. You got to get vertical, pick up some more yards, because this defensive front will turn and run and make some plays.
Last year, the defense had 38 sacks, 3rd in the Big 12. No pressure here. Driscoll gets the ball out and has an incompletion for the first time today. And 4 pass attempts. That's his first incompletion. It was intended for Caleb Woods.
Well, Shermike Moore, just outside linebacker, does such a good job of getting depth in his zone drop. He had no work in front of him, nobody in the flats. When you have no work, you're supposed to drop back, gain some depth. They had an out-cutting route, and he played it perfectly, and that's why Driscoll had to put a lot more loft on that football than he normally would, and that's the incomplete pass.
Moore, senior linebacker from Skyline High School in Dallas, now on 3rd and 4. To the outside, marker down, pass incomplete. And you can see what's about to happen.
Holding. Offense, number 64. This penalty is declined. The result of the play is 4th down.
It is going against Jordan Willis, one of the best players in this defensive front. Gets around him with speed. And like I said earlier, once the defender beats you, you get your shoulders turned. You can't grab like that. You feel like you still have to engage the guy, but you're beat. You just got to let him go. I guess it's better than giving up a sack and a possibly sack fumble.
Dalton Schomp to punt. First when they were looking for him to pin. Now he'll unleash the big leg. Fair catch made by Dominic Heath. Kansas State has it at the 28. It was Heath who scored the touchdown a moment ago for Kansas State on their opening drive of the game. They lead Florida Atlantic 7-0. Kansas State a touchdown drive earlier. They lead 7-0 at home against Florida Atlantic. Now we've got a big score from a college football game break. Here's Mike Hill in Los Angeles.
Not just Florida State in the 4th, guys.
Louisville rolling. That's probably the toughest game left on Houston's schedule, and it may be even tougher than many had speculated earlier in the season. Motion for Dominic Heath. Jesse Ertz in Kansas State for their own 28. Heath already has 1 touchdown reception. He catches and quickly sprints up the sideline and has a 1st down. Jalen Young forced him out at the 39. Jesse Ertz with the completion. He's 4 for 5 today, 54 yards.
I want you to watch Ertz's body language right here. See how he kind of fakes? Because there's so much run game with the quarterback, he kind of fakes that little quarterback lead game that they have, and that just opens everything up. Because now you got the 2nd level defenders looking at the quarterback for the quarterback run game. Same thing with the outside guys, and he throws it out for a nice little pitch and catch. We talked to Coach Snyder yesterday about what Jesse Ertz needs to do from last week to this week. Says you got to handle the tempo better. It's all about clock management, getting the guys in and out of the huddle, working through progressions, and just visualizing where the guys are supposed to be. And that's just indicative of the inexperience that he has at quarterback right now.
39-yard line. Oh, and he baits Florida Atlantic again with the threat of the run and almost finds the pass to Winston Demmel, who was into the secondary and open.
Well, and again, this is how they set everything up. With the quarterback run game, he kind of fakes it again like he's going to run. It's the pop pass. They have perfected this play. That's normally the bread and butter for Winston Demmel out of the backfield. He's not blocking. He's looking for the pass. It's all set up by the quarterback fake. Missed opportunity on one of their plays that they take a lot of pride in.
5 of 7 throwing the football today for Jesse Ertz. Delay handoff, and Dalvin Warmack's into the game, and Warmack has a hole and has a 1st down to midfield. His 1st touch today, and you said he could be an impact player today, Ben. It produces 11 yards.
Well, this is the type of runs that he's kind of known for. There he is in the backfield. Again, a little draw play. Terrell Johnson kind of folds over, and he shows his dynamic ability to get north and south. He's fast, he's quick, he's slippery, doesn't get a lot of touches, but in a game like this, he could get a lot more plays like that.
His 3rd touch in a game and a quarter this year. Dalvin Warmack, sophomore from Blue Springs, Missouri. He's going to run again, and he's going to run for more than 10, for 20. He's at the 20. Warmack is wrestled out of bounds. It will be 1st down and goal to go. Jalen Young kept him out of the end zone, and a big play in the running game, bigger than any play they had all of last year.
They're looking for explosive plays, and they finally got one out of the running back position. Watch all of these guys up front just engage the blockers that they're responsible for. That's really easy for Dalvin Warmack just to see all that purple in front of him that created a new line of scrimmage, makes one cut, and he gets out to the left side. That's the explosive play mentality that Dalvin Warmack has.
That went for 43 yards. Kansas State's longest run from scrimmage all last season was 35. Winston Demmel straight ahead, plows into the end zone. Touchdown run for the fullback.
Does it feel a little unfair that Warmack pretty much got them down there, and then they get close to the end zone and they're like, no, we're going to go ahead and give the ball to Demmel. He's the one that's going to get the touchdown. But That's the type of weapons that they have in the backfield. You got a fullback that can run the football and run people over, and then you get a quick, fast guy like Warmack and Jones and Silman. If they can get going offensively with the run game, just like anything else, that run game will open up everything in the passing game. That'll make Jesse Ertz feel like I got to take some pressure off of me, that I got to win this thing. And you'll see Winston Dimmel just get the handoff here. And again, it's a hat on a hat. Look at all the K-State offensive linemen, not just engaging their guys, but with the proper leverage. Look how they turn their bodies. They turn their hips to wash everybody down. That play becomes a north-south run, even though it was technically in an outside gap.
Winston Dimmel ran it into the end zone 6 times last year, so this is not unfamiliar territory for him. Now, you said that Warmack got the big chunk of yardage to get them down there, but remember they had Dimmel on the pop pass earlier in the drive, so he had a chance for a big play. Warmack ends up getting the big play, the 43-yard run, again longer than any run from scrimmage all of 2015 for Kansas State, and then Dimmel finishes off the drive. After a methodical first drive, a pretty quick strike second drive for the Wildcats.
And again, it just demoralizes your defense when you feel like you have some opportunities on that first drive, and they pick up those third downs, and then they come out, and right when you think they're going to be methodical again, they have an explosive play, and they score quickly. So now you're really off base and out of rhythm defensively.
Kieran White running the ball out of the end zone. Up past the 20-yard line as Jason Driscoll is ready to take the field for the 3rd time today. There's a marker down before he goes on the field. Florida Atlantic has already had a penalty in the kicking game today.
There were 2 fouls on the play by the receiving team. Holding number 10, his penalty is declined. Holding number 47, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Florida Atlantic.
Well, it's going to be tough going for Jason Driscoll. Poor field position on the 3rd drive, and Leslie has more on the Owls quarterback.
Well, Jason's older brother, Jeff, also a quarterback. He's currently with the Cincinnati Bengals, but he played for Louisiana Tech last year when they took Kansas State to 3 overtimes before falling. Dante Barnett told us Jason's actually very similar and better in several areas. So he said, we have to respect him, especially because Jeff probably gave his younger brother some advice on how to play him hard, guys.
Starting from the 10, nothing can short-circuit that good advice that he received from the older brother, like bad field position. Shermichael Moore with the tackle on the running play for Buddy Howell.
And it's Shermichael Moore that really has come in, had some off-the-field stuff, some health issues the last couple of years, a personal tragedy in his life, and he really has come out this season determined, focus, and he was making plays last week, and he's continuing to make plays today.
Buddy Howell running again, and nowhere to go against that stout K-State front 7 as we go into the last minute of the 1st quarter.
Well, to circle back with Leslie, what she was saying about Jason and Jeff, I think the one thing that really stands out is they have strong arms. They're kind of known for being passing quarterbacks, but they will hurt you. They are very athletic brothers, and Jason's no different than Jeff. When he gets out of the pocket, he can extend plays. He's very smart, very savvy, and he's fast as well. So when you watch him, you put the tape on of Jason, man, just when you think like, oh, that's a good-looking quarterback, he can throw the football. No, he can run it as well.
0 for 2 on 3rd down today, 11 for 40 on the year, and it's picked off. It's picked off on a run back for Kendall Adams for Kansas State. 2nd interception of the year for Jason Driscoll. Great field position for the Wildcats.
And what's he do that every young quarterback does? You get Kendall Adams up here. He's your free safety. Now just watch the quarterback. Watch Driscoll just stare down the receiver. That allows Kendall Adams just to look at 2 guys. Once he sees that vertical by number 1, that's his responsibility. That's where he's supposed to help. And Driscoll looks at him the whole way. That's an easy break for Kendall Adams, and then he goes and makes the play.
From the 10-yard line, direct snap to Winston Dimmel, and Dimmel has his 2nd touchdown run of the day, converting immediately after the turnover, and the 1st quarter onslaught is on for Kansas State.
And that's how they get you. They play disciplined football on both sides of the ball. They make some plays in special teams, defense, steal a possession away from the offense, and then they can make you pay with plays like that. They're not known to be explosive, but they're methodical. They make you make mistakes, and then they're opportunistic and make plays.
Kansas State defensive backs only had 1 interception in 2015. This INT by Kendall Adams leads to Winston Dimmel's second touchdown run. 10 yards out. The lead is 21-0, and it was number 21 who got the sequence all started with the pick by Adams.
Well, the defense has to play its part, and I've talked a lot about the front seven, but watch Kendall Adams here. Read the quarterback, understands the route combinations. The ball's thrown right to him, so he makes a big play. And then what do? They go wildcat with Winston Dimmel, the all-purpose, all-everything fullback. He can run, he can catch out of the backfield, and he powers through with that offensive line in for the score.
10 seconds left in the first quarter here and a 21-0 lead. Another game break in Los Angeles. Here's Mike Hill.
Yeah, Mark Ben, back to you.
And clearly the big story there is not just beating an FBS opponent, but a ranked opponent. We had the South Dakota State TCU game 2 weeks ago, Ben, and talked with John Stiglmeyer, the head coach at South Dakota State, and talked about the fact, look, the road to a championship in FCS goes through Fargo, North Dakota. That kickoff by Patterson's going to go out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds by the kicking team. Ball's placed at the 35-yard line. It's first down, Florida Atlantic.
Well, the Big Ten's gonna get what they want at this point. Not only do they not want to schedule these high-powered FCS schools, but their commissioner basically said no more. We've got to start playing, FBS, Power 5 non-conference football games. So luckily, I think everybody in the Big Ten doesn't have to even look at North Dakota State anymore, because I don't think there's a team in the country that wants to play North Dakota State. They are a powerhouse, not only at their conference, but they can play with the big boys, and they show it every year, time and again. They play a big-time opponent, they step up and win.
I think those numbers you just saw will tell you that Florida Atlantic is glad that the first quarter is about to end, and it ends with a ball being lost by Driscoll, slipped right out of his hands. A run back by Shermichael Moore all the way down near the 5. Oh, disaster strikes to end the first quarter for the Owls.
It just slips out of his hand. He's just trying to make a hot throw out to the left-hand side. And Reggie Walker comes up, hits the quarterback, and that first, it looks like Reggie Walker gets it.
There's a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Kansas State.
You saw 51, Reggie Walker pick up the football. He bobbles it, he loses it. Shermichael Moore then picks it up, and he finally ends up taking the ball right down near the end zone.
I think Moore grabbed it in midair, as a matter of fact, after Reggie Walker lost it. And Kansas State has been gifted a chance to score, but first we'll switch into the field. First quarter has been domination for Kansas State in their 2016 home opener. They are rolling 21-0 over Florida Atlantic. Kansas State, 21 points in the first quarter. They're in position to score more as the second quarter is about to start. But first, a reminder, don't miss a special Monday night edition of MLB on FS1. Paul Goldschmidt and the Diamondbacks look to strike against the Padres. The action begins Monday night at 9:30 Eastern on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Paul Goldschmidt, the only player in Texas State baseball history to have his number retired. At the 7-yard line, after the ball flew out of the hands of the quarterback Jason Driscoll, it was recovered by Shermichael Moore, his second fumble recovery of the year, and they were going to go wildcat again.
Offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
They've already direct snapped in the wildcat to fullback Winston Dimmel, and he ran it in for a touchdown. That was part of a 196-yard effort for the Kansas State offense in the first quarter.
Well, and the thing that you have to love if you're a Kansas State fan is they ran the football effectively in the first quarter. That's something that they haven't seen. The explosive run with Dalvin Warmack for 43 yards, that's something they haven't seen in a long time.
Kept by Ertz. Good job selling the fake. Room toward the end zone and leaps in for a touchdown. Been 14 points for Kansas State with short fields off turnovers. And the route is on, and it is a long afternoon, as you saw Charlie Partridge for Florida Atlantic look on.
You know, they can hurt you in so many ways, and they really haven't even thrown the football. You know, had to try to throw the football and make some plays downfield. So that part of the game hasn't come out yet. I'm sure you're going to try to establish that here in the second quarter now that the run game is going. But Winston Dimmel with Wildcat, a couple touchdowns, and then you get Ertz, who we've talked about, super athletic, very fast, very quick. They get him involved in the quarterback run game. Got him out on a naked. You'll see right here up front first. It all starts up front. They get all these guys washed down. Great leverage. Everybody kind of bites on the fake. Ertz then goes around the outside. And watch on the right hand of your screen with Byron Pringle, the receiver. Look how long that he has to hold that block. Holds it long enough for Ertz to make a play and dive into the end zone.
One of our talking points this week, Ben, leading up to this game, was the defensive front seven for Kansas State. The offensive line, though, as you talk about winning the game in the trenches, the O-line for Kansas State, despite all of their youth, despite 3 underclassmen starters and 7 underclassmen on the 2 deep, they really have, and we've shown the highlights of some of the touchdown runs. Their blocking at the point of attack today has been very, very good in opening up lanes and holes in the running game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big question mark when you looked at this football team as they opened 2 weeks ago at Stanford, was how is this front four? And really, when Dalton Reisner was a starting center from last year, and he has now transitioned to the right tackle. Yes, he started, got some experience last year, but a new position this year. So a whole bunch of new guys up front. They didn't know how these guys were going to respond. Very young players, and they're doing a terrific job today battling with leverage. As we go back to the touchdown, here's Pringle again on the outside. He sells the route. Now he has to engage. Once he engages, it's a great technique. And again, we talked about it. We've had a couple holding calls where the defender gets past the blocker and they continue to hold. He felt like the defender was going to beat him, so he just let go. Doesn't want to get a holding call down there. It's nice discipline and good strength for the wide receiver.
The defender was Shelton Lewis at corner, and that's who Ertz had to tumble over to pick up that final yard to go into the end zone. Running play, Buddy Howell. Florida Atlantic's first drive moved all the way down to the Kansas State 37. Defensively, they had a drive where they put Kansas State into numerous third downs and couldn't stop them. And then the avalanche has hit them. Oh, Buddy Howell drilled at the 34-yard line, rather, a yard shy of the stick.
Well, and once again, we get one of these third and shorts. Struggle with third down conversion. They go with this hurry-up, quick tempo offense to see if they can pick up this third down.
Duke Shelley had the big hit. Running play, Howell, and it's a first down over the 35. And will keep Florida Atlantic's defense from having to come back out on the field and give the offense a few more plays.
And we got Elijah Lee, their all-purpose linebacker, that's down on the field right now, kind of rolling around. But we talked about third down being such a critical down for this FAU offense. They finally picked one up.
Their first one of the day. Kansas State leads 28-0. A look at the concourse at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, where they always pack it. 27 straight sellouts going into this season, with capacity of just over 50,000. 3 straight running plays for Florida Atlantic. Now a 4th straight and a big hole. Kieran White accelerates to the outside. Ben, Jason Driscoll had an interception. Then he had a ball fly out of his hands on a drop back. So since, FAU's gone with 4 straight running plays and big yardage for White.
Well, you got to stick with the game plan. You know, you've had some missed opportunities with turnovers. Just stick with what you want to do when you came out to play this football game. That's establish the run, and they are doing that on this drive.
22 yards there for White. Looking to go to Caleb Woods.
And just when they think they have the run game going, they go empty set. They kind of go back to this no huddle, no mercy. And Driscoll just airmails it over Caleb Woods. Missed opportunity on first down Now it's 2nd and 10.
Again, a moment ago, White, who is in the backfield right now, ran for 22 yards to the Kansas State 42. They also have Tyler Cameron as an H-back, and that's the way they throw it. But it's through the hands and over the head of tight end Tyler Cameron from Jupiter, Florida. Was a backup quarterback at Wake Forest before transferring to Florida Atlantic.
You know, he's really done a phenomenal job as a quarterback in the tight end position. And you look at Jordan Willis, all-star defensive end for Kansas State. It's not always about getting after the passer and stopping the run. Sometimes in these zone blitzes, you've got to back off and you've got to take these guys to the flat. And he does a good job covering a tight end and Tyler Cameron.
3rd and 10. Pressure. Driscoll lost it. He was drilled by Reggie Walker. Looks like Florida Atlantic is back on top of the ball, but they'll have to punt after a blindside hit by Reggie Walker on Jason Driscoll.
And Reggie Walker's one of these guys that just flashed 2 weeks ago against Stanford. You're going to see him at the bottom of your screen right here. He's going against Brian Beck. And Brian Beck is a guy that normally lines up on the right side, but they've had some injury. This game he starts at the left tackle. Just no match right now for the athletic Reggie Walker. They love his hand usage, his motor. He's a highly, highly motivated guy that wants to be great.
Fair catch at the 12-yard line for Byron Pringle. Jesse Ertz just ran for a touchdown on the last drive, and he's also been effective throwing the football as well, Ben.
Yeah, he's been effective when they needed him. Good timing. They talk about Coach Snyder wanted him to anticipate the throws or see the throws as they finish through. And I think he's doing a good job of doing that, gelling with his receivers this game. But really, he's a running quarterback as well. And they're doing a nice job with Winston Dimble on the backfield, all the little fakes, the quarterback fakes. And that last touchdown sold the little read, naked boot out to the left side. Having a pretty nice game so far against this FAU defense.
Justin Silman is the running back right now. Kansas State, 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. Long drives for 2 of them, but short fields after turnovers on the last 2 drives, only having to go a combined 17 yards on the last 2 drives. That's the distance of this run by Justin Silman from the 13 out to the 30, but a marker flies in.
Holding. Offense, number 6. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's first down.
7th penalty today for Kansas State, and a couple of times receivers downfield blocking have been called for holding.
Well, you're going to see it's a run down 1st and 10, so you bring the blitz off the edge. And by and large, K-State does a good job of blocking, getting a hat on a hat, but again, it's the downfield blocking of the receivers. They get the holding call. So penalties, very uncharacteristic of a Kansas State defense, and it's killing them right now as they get another pre-snap penalty. It's going to be Dayton Valentine jumping at the tight end position. So again, you don't see this very often from Kansas State.
Offense, number 88, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
We talked to Bill Snyder yesterday and asked how he was able to maximize their time with 2 weeks and a day between games, and he said they certainly spent more time trying to correct correctable errors, the penalties that they had. 8 penalties in the first game, 8 penalties and a quarter and a handful of minutes today. All the way back to the 11. The odd 1st and 12, and another marker is down, and Justin Silman is hit in the backfield. Florida Atlantic, big defensive penetration. Nick Internicola.
And they may actually have gotten the FAU defender to go across the neutral zone right before the snap.
Offside. Defense, number 45. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Well, they got Jacob Douglas going across.
Yeah, you're going to see him right here in the middle of your screen. He's a linebacker that's going to blitz, and you got to time those things up. And you can see him just get a little too antsy. So K-State, after those 2 penalties, get 1 back.
Now the odd 1st and 7. Option. Thought about the pitch, a lane to run for Ertz. A bit of elusiveness to scoot up to the 25-yard line and convert on 1st and 7.
Well, Rashad Smith, you're going to see him right here on the edge of your screen. He's got a tough job. He's got quarterback, but he also has pitch. And Jesse Ertz does a good job of being patient, waiting for him to commit. And then he tucks the football and picks up the yardage. But look at that stress that the overhang player has on a lot of these option plays.
The option run by Jesse Ertz, who already has run it into the end zone once today. Ertz, the junior quarterback from Burlington, Iowa. Now he looks to throw, and he's going for the home run, and he almost lays it in there to Isaiah Zuber. Markers come down in pass coverage. Andrew Soro, number 14, Shelton Lewis, number 3, with the 2 Florida Atlantic defenders looking at one another there.
Pass defense, number 3, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And Shelton Lewis, you'll see him right here. He has good position. Does a good job on the double move. It's just you can't hold like that. You got to trust your instincts. Shelton Lewis was one of these special teams players from last year that's getting more and more action this year, so he's inexperienced in the defensive backfield, and that's just one of those situations where he's not trusting his body position, didn't trust his physical speed, and they got him for a hold.
He's a sophomore. Ben noted that he predominantly was a special teams player last year. Now there's a timeout taken. Kansas State with the ball at their own 40. They take a timeout, leading 28-0. Let's get you caught up with our Coyote Tractor game summary. 4 drives, 4 touchdowns for Kansas State. This ended a 7.5-yard drive in the first quarter with Dominic Keith catching a pass from 20 yards out and racing into the end zone. Then back-to-back touchdown runs by the big fullback, Winston Dimmel. Direct snap to him in a wildcat here. This was after an interception by Kendall Adams. And after a fumble recovery by Shermichael Moore, Jesse Ertz and Kansas State's offense had a short field to work with. 12 yards, upended into the end zone. And Kansas State, as we see in the Coyote Tractor game summary, is rolling here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. 28-0 they lead early in the second quarter over Florida Atlantic. A penalty has K-State up at their own 40. Ertz couldn't find anywhere to throw it, so he'll keep it and dart to the outside. And Ertz able to manufacture 5 yards on that play, Ben.
Well, and another way they kind of trick you is they're going to pull the interior offensive line to the right and get everybody defensively to flow with them, and then they're going to run a pass, sort of a waggle concept on the outside that gives Jesse Ertz the freedom and flexibility to use his feet again. So you mess with the second level defenders, buy some time. If nobody's open, make something out of nothing, and Jesse Ertz does that.
Two seconds on the play clock when they snap it on 2nd and 5. Justin Silman doesn't find anywhere to go on the run. Stop to the line of scrimmage.
Well, we talked about FAU not getting off the field on 3rd down throughout this football game. This is a situation now where you want to pin your ears back. Is a little Trey Hendrickson on the outside? Is it Hayden Nagel on the outside getting a good rush? They got to get some pressure on Jesse Ertz. They haven't done that throughout this football game.
They have corrected an earlier number. It is 4 for 4 on 3rd downs today for Kansas State. Ertz pulling it down. Ertz hit in the backfield and drops. It's a sack. Shelton Lewis, who had a penalty for pass interference earlier on the drive, with that sack of Jesse Ertz for a loss of 5 on the first punt today.
Well, they're going to bring a zone blitz. You're going to see this guy drop out. You're going to see these guys blitz off the right side, and that really just kind of confuses this offense. That's where he wanted to go. He wanted to throw the hot, but Hayden Snyder from the left defensive end spot drops back in that zone, does a good job covering that hole up. No place to go. Great defensive stop finally for FAU.
Oh, look at this roll here for Nick Walsh. Walsh averaged 49 yards in his 3 punts against Stanford, and his first punt today is killed at the 6. It is a 54-yard boomer for Nick Walsh, the junior senior punter from Linden, Kansas. 28-0 Kansas State with the lead. Florida Atlantic, the ball at their own 6. Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, only on FS1. Something to keep in mind if Florida Atlantic drops back to pass their last 7 dropbacks. 4 incompletions, an interception thrown, 2 fumbles. One of those fumbles were lost by the Owls. So, given all of that information, no surprise that from their 6, they'll choose to run it.
And you pretty much have to in these situations. When you're backed up like that, you need to gain some space for your offense to operate. And most likely, the high percentage play is to run the football and try to get some yards and create that space. As right now, we look at another K-State lineman that's on the ground, holding his left leg.
Trey Dishon from Horton, Kansas, redshirt freshman.
And we don't talk about him that much. We've talked about Willis and Geary and Reggie Walker up front. Tanner Wood, also a guy. But Trey Dishon is one of these guys, he just loves football. He was a late add-in to Kansas State. Nobody really recruited him, probably because of a size issue. They didn't think he could play at this level. K-State offers him a scholarship, and he just jumps on it, takes it. And when you talk about a guy that has built himself in the weight room since the 7th grade, all through his senior year, did not miss one day, not one day of weights. He knew that he had to improve his body. He knew he had to get bigger and stronger than everybody else, and he competed every single day in the weight room. And he says that's really what got him to the level that he's at now, is that ability to go in the weight room and not just put your time in, but get better each and every day. And the coaches here at Kansas State recognize that, and he's out here playing as a redshirt freshman.
That dedication in Horton, Kansas to improving his body helped him reach Manhattan here. Now, speaking of dedication, a day like this is going to test the dedication and the wherewithal of the Florida Atlantic Owls. So let's hear more about what's happening on their sideline with Leslie.
Well, sure, guys, not a lot of energy over here on the FAU sideline, but it's business as usual. The coach is telling them that the effort out there is good, but they just have to keep on making plays. And we've seen in some of these games like this where the score gets out of hand early on that these coaches really try to use this as a learning experience. Defensive coordinator Rock Bellantoni really going over details constantly with his guys, wanting them clearly to improve, even though already they're really far behind.
Florida Atlantic has another non-conference game to look forward to next week at home against Ball State, and a team that's projected to be 4th of the 7 teams in Conference USA East will open conference play with the Shula Bowl in 2 weeks at FIU. Running play, room for Kierith White. Stumbles up right at the first down marker. He picked it up. This will go for 8 yards to the 17.
Well, we talked about this early in the football game, is when Kansas State makes a mistake, you have to make them pay. It doesn't matter if it's penalties or what it is, but they bring a blitz off that offensive right side. They have missed tackles, and Kierith White just loses his footing, or else that could have been a gigantic play running the football.
Well, there is certainly some thought that Kierith White can be a playmaker for them, even though he's only run for 23 yards on 15 carries early in the season. We've seen White pick up 22 yards on a run today, just toted that for 8. Now a quick throw by Driscoll, and he put it right on the money. Caleb Woods is bumped out of bounds immediately by Duke Shelley. That goes for 4.
You know, and that might have been the strongest, most decisive throw that I think we've seen out of Driscoll this game. I think it's taken him a while for him to get settled down, but those are the type of throws that he can make when he's in rhythm.
It ends that rough stretch where they didn't complete a pass in 7 straight dropbacks. The incompletions and the turnovers. A sack that led to a fumble. Now handing it off once again. White, oh, and he burst through a tackle, and now he's got all kinds of room to run. DJ Reed comes up in run support and slams into Kierith White at midfield. There's a marker down back at the line of scrimmage, by the way. This would be a huge wipeout for Florida Atlantic.
Holding, offense, number 16, 10-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Dylan DeBoer, who's moved over from left tackle to start at center today, Ben.
Yeah, and again, like I said, you have to capitalize. Watch this area and this gap right here. Kansas State does a great job of filling the gap. They understand where the ball's going to go, but it's the missed tackles. It's the missed tackles so far that's hurting this defense. It hurt them a little bit last or 2 weeks ago against Stanford, and it's unfortunate that DeBoer got the holding call.
Now kept by Driscoll. Keep in mind that Florida Atlantic's offensive line is down Kelly Parfit, a starting tackle who had transferred to FAU from Central Florida, a senior from Boca Raton, Florida. And also without all-conference preseason pick Reggie Bain, who is out for the year after injury sustained in a motor scooter accident in the offseason.
And it's those, tell you what, those scooters, they're fun to get around on, and some of these campuses are big and you need them, but more often than not, I hear more and more coaches. Coach Snyder got rid of scooters here on campus for the players. Just accidents happen, and unfortunately it happened for him.
3rd down, 14, Florida Atlantic. Under pressure, Driscoll hit, loses the ball. It's free right at the goal line. There's either going to be a touchdown here, perhaps a safety. Tanner Wood applying the pressure. And this is going to end up being Kansas State ball right outside the goal line, it would appear. Right at the 1-yard line is where they'll spot it. Will Geary got on it.
While the ball was loose, illegal batting. Offense, number 66, batted the ball forward. The penalty is declined. The result of the play is a fumble recovered by Kansas State. It's 1st down.
The shortest of possible fields now for Kansas State, who's already been set up once today after a turnover at the 10 and another time at the 7 after a turnover.
Well, there he is. He's normally a defensive end, but in passing situations, Tanner Wood will slide down on the inside. He does a great job of just getting skinny. See how he tacked that right shoulder of the offensive guard? So hard to generate power and block somebody when they just take one half of your body. And Tanner Wood, the 4-star athlete out of Conway Springs, Kansas, a few years ago, makes a huge play.
Wildcat snap. Winston Dimmel surging into the end zone for the 3rd time. Kansas State scores on the first play after a turnover.
I mean, that's really been the story with this game, is Kansas State's doing a good job of capitalizing off of takeaways. They're so relentless. They've given up plays. They haven't played perfectly, but they're going to hurt you when they get pressure on the quarterback. They're opportunistic, getting the football back. And then Winston Dimmel has just put on a show today. Every time he lines up in the backfield, I'll be telling my defense players, key him. I don't care if somebody else beats us. Do not let Winston Dimmel, a fullback, beat you every time near the end zone.
The 3rd rushing touchdown today for Winston Dimmel, who had 6 rushing TDs last year. It's a scoring play, and it appears that the holdup is taking a look at it. And it has been confirmed as a touchdown. Matthew McCrane from Brownwood, Texas, junior kicker. He makes it 35-0. The 3rd Florida Atlantic turnover. Driscoll is hit by Tanner Wood. The ball is recovered by Will Geary right there at the 1-yard line. And then Winston Dimmel takes the direct snap and powers into the end zone as the route continues. Midway through the 2nd quarter, it's been all Kansas State today. They've been able to produce 21 of their 35 points because of short fields, thanks to Florida Atlantic turnovers, and they had the shortest of fields a moment ago. Tanner Wood forced a fumble. Will Geary recovered it, and it went a play, a yard, a touchdown. Winston Dimmel's 3rd rushing touchdown of the day. 4 seconds to turn the turnover into 7 points. And Kansas State with a dominant performance in every facet of the game today, resulting in a 35-0 advantage.
You know, it's one thing to turn the football over, but it's another when your defense just can't keep the offense from scoring. You never want the points off of turnovers, and that's the one thing that's, you know, really the huge difference in this ball game is they're getting the takeaways and they're scoring off of them.
After the touchback, let's get a game break. Mike Hill in Los Angeles to tell us more. Time you think of Colorado, Michigan. And of course, the story was reinforced yesterday, hearing you talk about it, Ben, watching as a young man before you went to college and wanting to play there because of the Cordell Stewart Hail Mary to Michael Westbrook.
1994, I was captivated as a high school kid watching those guys. That's actually the team that I wanted to play for. I loved the jerseys, loved Ralphie running out of the and before the game, leading the team out in the field. So that was my team because of that play. And lo and behold, through a course of events, I ended up at Kansas State.
And it worked out pretty well for you, I would say.
It worked out pretty well.
7-yard pitch and catch to Caleb Woods. Florida Atlantic just wanting to get something going, keep the defense off the field, have something positive on offense in terms of a drive not ending in a turnover. Checking off here, it would look like, and a snap back to Driscoll, and a run by Kierith White, and he is thrown down. That was well done. Tanner Wood with another impact play. He's forced a fumble on a sack, and that was a good read and tackle by Wood.
You know, I think that's really where he shines the most. Is it's not so much just his pressure off the edge, but he's so slippery when he goes inside. Whether it's a passing play like we saw on the sack fumble, just catching an edge of a guy, he turns his hips very well, and he's got good lower body strength, so he can kind of catch that edge, keep driving his legs, especially in that play for the nice tackle for loss.
3rd and 3, Driscoll throwing, and it's incomplete. Trying to go to 6'7" Nate Terry, who hasn't been involved in the passing game today, and even with the catch radius that a 6'7" receiver like Nate Terry has, he couldn't pull that one in.
Well, as athletic as Jason Driscoll is, it's awfully hard to kind of drift to your left for a right-handed quarterback and then deliver a ball accurately. And it's hard to imagine that at 6'7" you're going to overthrow a player. But that's something that hasn't really happened throughout this game, is the advantage on the outside that FAU has with the receivers against K-State's corners. Drastic difference in height.
Punt by Dalton Schomp, and a chance to return for Pringle. Pringle fielded at the 30. There's a marker down as he weaves and cuts back and has it up over the 45, and probably coming back.
And it looks like now a block in the back on Kansas State. We'll find out who it is.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 13. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's 1st down, Kansas State.
You're going to see number 13 right here on the right side of your screen. Now he's going against the gunner for FAU, and again, too many times that we've seen throughout this football game, when the opponent gets past you, just lay off. You've lost the battle. Don't try to make up for a bad mistake off the line of scrimmage and make up for by pushing the guy in the back. Same thing, we've seen a lot of holding calls with the same sort of situation. So once again, a very disciplined football team in Kansas State with a lot of mental errors.
9 penalties, 100 yards today, and Ryan Mack's illegal block accounts for 10 of those penalty yards on that punt return. Redshirt freshman Alex Barnes now has a chance to run it for the first time, and he shifts away from the tackle, and he accelerates over the 30, has a 1st down. Raekwon Williams with a tackle, but the first run of Alex Barnes as a redshirt freshman goes well. It's 22 yards.
Well, Winston Dimmel has 3 touchdowns on the day, and you'll see him as a fullback right here. Just kind of lead around. Watch him kick out the defender, and that allows the cut up the field right there. He does so many things so well. Winston Dimmel, no wonder why the conference and a lot of coaches respect his game.
To the outside for Alex Barnes this time. Over the 50-yard line, 9 yards. Kansas State has had 6 different players run the ball today, and they're 3 yards shy of 200 yards on the ground.
Again, we've talked about, if there's one facet of this offense that really hasn't gotten going, even from last year, is the running game. They run the football with the quarterback, but they don't do as much, and they haven't been as explosive with the running backs, and we're starting to see that this game, and that's a huge thing for this team as they kind of build through this inexperienced offense.
And that 197 will grow with Alex Barnes running the ball again. 1st down picked up on 2nd and 1. Brought to the turf by Jacob Douglas.
And you're seeing what every coach loves to see, is you've got 4 running backs in that room that are all getting carries this football game. And when it's 35-0 as the clock is winding down this first half, you're getting the chance now for guys like Alex Barn to get some game experience that hopefully is fruitful later on in the season.
Charles Jones, Justin Silman, Delvin Warmack have all run the ball today. And Winston Dimmel. And quarterback Jesse Ertz, who's going to throw it this time. Oh, and close to a corner, jumping the route. Pass is caught, though, by true freshman Isaiah Harris from All Saints Episcopal in Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, and we talked about the one thing that Ertz needs to do is see the play right here. You got to see the stop. You just get a stop right there. Ertz needs to throw the ball there. Throw it before he comes out of his break. You know the route. You saw the defender giving a big cushion, so that throw is going to be there. And for some reason, Ertz just did not trust it. That could have been a bigger play than it was.
Jalen Young closed on the route. He had a pick 6 against FIU last year. Just made the tackle on that 4-yard pass play to Harris. Now a roll and a throw on the move, and going deep over the middle for the tight end, Dayton Valentine.
Well, and that's another facet of this offense that you didn't see it at all for 14 games up until 2 weeks ago. Dayton Valentine had 1 catch for 6 yards against Stanford. That's the first time that a tight end has caught a ball in this offense in 14 consecutive games. If they want to open up this offense and really give defense some fits, get the tight ends involved more in the passing game.
3rd down and 6. Watch the blitz off the edge. It's picked up, and it's a deep heave down the sideline and incomplete. Looking for Zach Reuter, sophomore receiver, who had 6 catches in 2015.
And I think what you're starting to see here is Dana Dimmel, the offensive coordinator, just wanting to see what he can do offensively throwing the football. They've ran with so much success that, yes, you're up 35-0. You could just grind this thing out, keep running the football, but they have things to work on. They have to work on the chemistry with the guys on the outside. So I think strategy-wise, you just continue to run the football and run this clock out in this first half. But you're starting to see them trying to run some plays that maybe would hopefully show up later on in the season as well.
Dana Dimmel, a former head coach at Houston and Wyoming, and has spent a lot of time at Kansas State over his coaching career. Fair catch by Henry Bussey. 11-yard line is where Florida Atlantic will start after this. In 2015, a game against Iowa State was the only time Kansas State forced 3 or more turnovers. They forced 3 today. First, a Kendall Adams interception, Ben, and then pressure forces 2 quarterback fumbles.
Well, sometimes you just have to be lucky. The fumble by Driscoll there, they pick it up, return it, got a touchdown off of that, and then once again, you get the inside pressure. A sack fumble sets up another touchdown for Kansas State.
Running play here from the 11-yard line for Florida Atlantic, and big Jordan Willis, preseason all Big 12 selection. 9.5 sacks last year, second most of the Big 12 to Oklahoma State's Emmanuel Ogbah. So many other things have happened on this Kansas State defense that have been a positive today. The name of Jordan Willis has been overlooked, but he's an anchor in terms of what they need to do.
Oh, he's an anchor, and he's relentless, just like everybody in that front 4. He just keeps bringing it and bringing it every snap.
Pass in the flats, and a good open field hit by DJ Reed on the pass play to Singletary, Devin Singletary.
Well, that's an area that we've kind of seen show up throughout this football game. If there's been a weakness so far with Kansas State, it's the tackling in the open field. They've had a few missed tackles. One that didn't hurt them as much because of a penalty, but that was a nice play by DJ Reed, fighting off the receiver and sticking his hat in there.
3rd and 7, and today Florida Atlantic just 1 for 7 on 3rd downs, and they're in trouble. There's Jordan Willis. Down goes Jason Driscoll at the 3-yard line.
Well, again, we talked about just being relentless, and Jordan Willis, he's a soft-spoken guy, but just watch him stick with the play. He feels everything, fights off the blocker, gains the separation, and he is no match for Driscoll. As athletic as Driscoll is, Jordan Willis has a relentless motor, and once he gets his hands on you, he's not going to let go.
Just noted the 9.5 sacks last year. And that sack means Florida Atlantic has to punt it for the back of their end zone. Byron Pringle with the run all the way across the field. And that happened right in front of the Kansas State sideline. They're all hollering for a penalty. There's a flag down, but it's not thrown where the tackle occurred. There's a player down for Kansas State as well. I think, were they wanting horse collar?
It looked like they were wanting horse collar.
During the return, holding, receiving team, number 35, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. It's first down. State.
And I think you're going to get Will Davis, the linebacker for Kansas State, on that punt return team. He's the one that's injured right now, getting up, walking off nicely. But we both thought, just by the way that Pringle went down, the hand position on the tackle, that we thought that was going to be a horse collar tackle. As you'll see right here, it's close, and you see that right hand. That's about as textbook as you can get with their all-stud defensive end, Trey Hendrickson, pulling down Pringle. But it's Will Davis on the holding call, I believe a block in the back, that really set Kansas State back.
Yeah, Hendrickson is the preseason defensive player of the year for Conference USA. Kansas State, 10 penalties, 110 yards. And if you want to know how the mind of a coach operates, Kansas State's up 35-0. I bet at his halftime interview with Leslie, he'll be talking. Something about penalties will come up. But if you're in it to win it at the highest levels, any coach will tell you this, then you can't accept mediocrity at any level. And 10 penalties and a half is something that certainly he'll be disappointed with. Coming up on the FS1 College Football Halftime Show, Mike Hill and Bruce Feldman discuss concerns for Baylor, plus a preview of the biggest game of the weekend, and that is right here in the Big 12. Oklahoma hosting Ohio State later tonight on Fox. Now there's another marker down. Jesse Ertz stayed on his feet and throws the ball away.
Now, look like to me, are you going to get
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 6, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
number 6? I wonder if they think it's number 9, Trey Hendrickson, that put his hands on Jesse Ertz as he's coming with the quarterback pressure. Again, you talked about it, Mark, that he's one of the best in Conference USA, wins on the inside, but you see the hand to the face, grabs a face mask. That's the call. It's one of those effort type plays. Wasn't intentional, but unfortunate for him, unfortunate for this defense, as they had Kansas State backed up because of the Will Davis holding call on the punt return.
Now Kansas State pushed forward to the 39-yard line. They're on the edge of field goal range as Ertz steps up and weaves and throws. Oh, that was well done by Jesse Ertz. And a good run here after the catch by Byron Pringle. Pringle headed for the sideline and out of bounds. Inside the 5, they'll spot him out near the 3.
Just buying time, buying time. We talk about how athletic he is. He can run, he can break contain, but this time he chooses to let his receivers get open. Watching stature. Now he's got a break, but he doesn't want to break that line of scrimmage. Pringle does a good job of scramble coverage, finding the soft spot, and he delivers to what they're hoping to be their next playmaker offensively.
He's from Tampa, Florida, went to Butler Community College in Kansas, transferred here, had one grab against Stanford. That went for 36 yards to Byron Pringle, and now they'll give it to Winston Dimmel, and he finds the painted grass for the 4th time in the first half. Touchdown for the Kansas State fullback.
And what did we say earlier? If you're Rock Bellantoni, defensive coordinator, you tell all of your players when you get down, snugged up against your own end zone, just key Winston Dimmel. That's all you have to look at. Let somebody else beat you. Get off on the football. All your linebackers start scraping. Chase number 38. And even when they try to make a play, the offensive line does a good job. And Winston Dimmel with his 4th touchdown in this first half.
Kansas State leads Florida Atlantic. We spent some time talking about Coach Snyder in the last segment. Now here's more with Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, in his 25th season here at Kansas State, over the years, I know Ben can attest to this, his coaching philosophies haven't really changed all that much, but that doesn't mean he's afraid to change. This offseason, guys, he got on Twitter, involved in social media. They also added music to practice. So even though he turned 77 in just 3 weeks, he's not afraid to adapt, and he told us he wants his players to enjoy the process, guys.
Well, and he talked about that. I'm not adverse to change. It's just that the change has to be better than what it was before. And I can tell you that, you know, I think his philosophies originally, there's not a lot of new things that I think he thinks that are better than what he's already implemented. So it does show that he's has the willingness to look at what these players want. The players, you know, they want music, you know, they want to feel free during practice, and he says, I'm all right with that as long as it doesn't take away from practice. And so far, the guys have done a good job responding to that, staying focused. He says he doesn't want a lot of dancing and stuff like that to kind of take away from practice. But, you know, he's, you know, for being the old ball coach here at Kansas State, you know, he will change. I mean, he's gotten off Twitter just a little bit. He says he doesn't have a lot of time for it, but he is on there and he is active when he can be.
I applaud someone who decides I don't have enough time to spend that many hours on Twitter. It's a good thing. A short running play by Buddy Howell, then a pass to Caleb Woods. Florida Atlantic now looking at 3rd down and 9. Late in the 3rd quarter, their own 37-yard line. Driscoll on the throw, incomplete, a drop. Cameron Solomon couldn't hang on to it, going down low to make the catch right around the 1st down marker.
You know, if it's not one thing for this offense, it's another. It's, you know, big plays being negated because of holding calls, or Driscoll airmails a wide open receiver, or we've had a couple now where Driscoll actually is on time. He delivers the ball where it's supposed to be, and the receivers are dropping him. So really everything has just been out of sync, and we haven't even really talked about the giveaways that they had in the first half.
4 turnovers, with 3 of them in the first half, all turning into 21 Kansas State points. Punt return, Dominic Heath off the kick by Dalton Schomp, and a lot of room to run for Heath on special teams. This is the bread and butter for a decade now for Kansas State. A punt return for a touchdown from Dominic Heath.
Well, you mentioned that the bread and butter of this football team is discipline on offense and defense, meticulous to detail, but also the special teams unit has always been good. Coached by Sean Snyder, it's Bill Snyder's son, and he is one of the best special teams coaches in the country and has been for a long time. He gets these guys ready. They practice everything during practice. It is down to the detail. It's the minutia. It's going through things over and over again, and it shows up every single Saturday for Kansas State special teams unit.
There's Sean Snyder, as he just saw the 41st kick or punt return for a touchdown since 2005, and the Wildcats up 49-0. First second half touchdown is the 75-yard punt return for Dominic Heath. Kansas State leads Florida Atlantic 49-0. Here's Mike Hill with a game break in Los Angeles.
Fellas, Oklahoma State coming off that controversial and painful loss to Central Michigan on the final play of the game, bouncing back against Pitt. Rennie Childs down the sidelines, going 67 yards for his 2nd score of the game. That made it 31-17 Cowboys. That's where it remains late in the 2nd.
We'll have more on the fiasco that occurred last week involving Oklahoma State and Central Michigan and Ben Lieber's player perspective before the end of today's broadcast. Right now, though, we have a kickoff, that is, by Ian Patterson of Kansas State. The Dominic Heath punt return is 75 yards.
I got to say, Mark, that was a really nice tease that you had there.
Hey, I hope that you're ready.
Yeah.
I mean, big things as they are expected out of you every week, but particularly big things coming up at the start of the 4th quarter when we delve into what went down last week in Stillwater. Hole here for Kieran White from Loxahatchee, Florida. 2:44 left in the 3rd quarter. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive, character-building sports experience. Visit FoxSportsSupports.com to learn more. We were talking with Charlie Partridge, the Florida Atlantic coach, this week, and he was talking about the discipline and being tough on players in practice, and he said, look, I have to, especially with younger players, remind them that it's all coming from a place of love and a place of trying to make them better players and better people.
You know, it's the tough love, and it's really no different than I think a lot of parents. You know, you show your love to your kids and to your players, but you still expect a lot out of them. You expect them to do the right thing on and off the football field, and that's really what he was talking about. Is like, I'm going to love on my players, but I'm going to coach them hard, and I'm going to get in their face, and I'm going to make them accountable to their actions. And if they don't like it, then they're going to have to deal with just how it is. That's how he coaches, but he wants to let them know that for as much as that he's going to demand them, he's going to pat them on the back as well. And I think that's what anybody in any facet of life can appreciate is this, you know, your coach, your boss, your parents, they can push you hard, but they also have to show you some love and let you know that this is not personal. I want to get you guys better. And he's staying true to that mantra down there at Florida Atlantic.
That was a run by Kerith White to convert a first down. Now Driscoll to throw, and Driscoll to throw the ball deep, and he's looking for Cameron Solomon, and it's incomplete. DJ Reed in coverage. He already has an interception here in the third quarter. Hearing you say all of that just a moment ago just reminds one of the adage that it's there's not a lot of difference, you know, between a kick in the butt and a pat on the back.
No, there really isn't. I mean, you have to, like, I think it's just being transparent and letting people know, you know, where that pat in the back is coming from or that kick in the butt is coming from. Yeah. You know, you can't just do things, you know, just to say that you're doing it. You know, you can, hey, go make that block. Well, why? Well, because I said so. You can't do that. You know, you got to explain to these kids that are learning the game of football how to do things and how to do things consistently.
False start, offense, number 64, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Like jumping off sides.
Right.
You know,
Antonio Woods.
You can't have, you know, a junior player. He's getting his first start, but he's an experienced player. It's late in the game. Those are the things that when you talk about consistency and being mentally tough, that they're pretty much out of this football game. But that doesn't mean that you can't bring it each and every snap and play disciplined football and don't have the pre-snap penalties as we have another penalty.
False start, offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty, second down.
It's Brandon Walton from Largo, Florida, freshman tackle. Well, sometimes it's better to slap a hand than it is to hold it. Story of your love life, man.
You're full of these right now, aren't you?
Got to go deep into the bag of platitudes late in the third quarter when it's 49-0. Tyler Cameron, the tight end, catches and goes out of bounds. Bumped out by Cedric Dozier.
That's another big word, platitudes. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're on it right now.
Important to stay engaged in these moments in the game.
See, it's mental toughness, right? You talk about that with the players. You got Brandon Walton jumping off sides and Antonio Woods jumping off sides. We got to stay in this thing.
Tough place, though, for Florida Atlantic right now. Down big on the scoreboard and facing a long way to go on third down on the road against Kansas State. Deep throw, and he probably had room to run after the catch, but just went down a couple of yards short. Nate Terry.
And that's one of those throws, too, that you'd love to have that back. Yes, it's a completion, but he was open. Don't throw it behind him to where he has to make sort of an acrobatic catch and can't get his feet down. That's where he has to lead the receiver, hit him in stride, and it could have been a potentially big play, at least a first down.
They picked up 14 yards, but that leaves them 2 yards shy. They'll go for it on fourth down. They will run and convert it with Buddy Howell getting downhill. Kendall Adams, who had a first-half interception with the tackle, but 4th and 2 is converted with a 6-yard run.
Well, and that really was probably the first time in a long time that I've seen FAU's offensive line reestablish a new offensive line or new line of scrimmage, you know, 2 or 3 yards down the field. They knew that they had to pick up the first down. Everybody fired off the football and really pushed this Kansas State defensive line back. That's like probably the most aggressive run they've had all day.
Driscoll standing in, airing it out, going way deep down the right sideline, looking back into the sun. There's a catch for Caleb Woods, or is there? Did he go out of bounds first? There's also a marker down. There's a lot to sort out right now.
And was he pushed out of bounds? You just look at this pass play overall, and this is where Driscoll's floated a lot of footballs. He has the arm strength to throw the football down the
Result
field.
of the play was a completed pass. Caddis interference. Defense, number 7. Penalties decline. It's first down.
Just to put it all the way down to the 5-yard line now.
And you're going to see right here this double move. It's a little stop and go, trying to create some separation with, once again, Caleb Woods is their downfield threat, but it probably would have been for a touchdown had the ball not floated up in the air.
Buddy Howell trying to get into the end zone for the first time today for Florida Atlantic, and his run on 1st and goal is stopped a yard short. It will be a long...
This is the end of the 3rd quarter.
It will be a long walk now from the 1-yard line, 98 yards the other direction, as Florida Atlantic will snap it. 2nd and goal at the 1 to start the 4th quarter. After this, in Manhattan, Kansas, Heath ran it back for a punt, return touchdown in the 3rd quarter with Kansas State up 49. We start the 4th quarter, the final Saturday of summer in Manhattan, Kansas. It has been all Kansas State today. 330 yards. They've scored 21 points off 4 turnovers. And the 21 points off turnovers were all in the first half. This was a 42-0 lead at the half. A special teams touchdown for Kansas State in the 3rd quarter on a 75-yard punt return by Dominic Heath. A long pass play to Caleb Woods has Florida Atlantic in scoring position for the first time. 2nd and goal at the 1, and Buddy Howell has a big opening to run through for a touchdown, and the Owls are on the board. First play of the 4th quarter.
Well, why not give it to your best offensive playmaker when you've got 1 yard to go? They go heavy in the backfield, 2 blockers up front, really not an indication of where the ball's going to go. And they get the best player who gets north and south as quick as anybody that we've seen in a long time. A big, fast, athletic running back, and 1 yard to go, he can handle that.
The 8th career rushing touchdown for the junior from Coral Gables, Florida. That's Buddy Howell. A Greg Joseph extra point. Yards have been hard to come by today for Howell. 13 carries, 34 yards, but a 1 yard plunge puts Florida Atlantic on the board. And the reason they were there is because of the Bass Pro Shop catch of the day. Staring back into the sun along the sideline and tightly covered. And amidst all of that, look at Caleb Woods bring the ball in here, Ben.
Well, it was a nice little stop and go, trying to get some separation. The ball kind of floats in the air. And like you said, looking back against that sun, that's a great job of concentration. Even with an arm in your face, kind of backpedaling backwards, that's a terrific catch. And like we said, if they're going to make some plays down the field, they always look for Caleb Woods, and he doesn't disappoint on that play.
Interfered with. There was a penalty called on that play, but obviously declined because the result of the play was a 39-yard catch for Caleb Woods. And in the passing game, he's the guy to focus on. 3 games into Florida Atlantic season. Woods now has 19 catches. And with his receiving yards today, he's over 260 receiving yards this year. Again, 7 for 82 today for Woods.
You know, I don't think they're that far away in the passing game. I know Travis Trickett comes in here, installs this kind of wide open passing offense. They're just lacking 1 or 2 kind of like those quick slot receivers, scat back type of guys that can catch the ball and just explode out of the breaks. They've got a bunch of big, tall, strong receivers right now that just don't fit this offense.
Touchback on the kickoff. How about Mike Hill now in Los Angeles with a Fox College football game break?
How about number one?
Well, Ole Miss trying to defeat Alabama for a third straight year, but the early season story for Ole Miss is what's the deal with the inability to hang on to big leads. Now, they haven't caught this one up completely yet, but of course we saw Florida State on that Labor Day night.
Well, again, it's special teams. We have special teams playing our own game, and that game's much closer, but you can see how special teams, if you're not minding your business on special teams, they'll come back and bite you and really turn the momentum going the other way.
Ben Joe Huebner is into the game now. He took over at quarterback when Jesse Ertz went down last year, the senior from Cheney, Kansas. 3 for 7, 36 yards passing in the game against Stanford 2 weeks ago, and a quick throw to the freshman from Fort Worth, Texas, Isaiah Harris. Alex Barnes is in the backfield. He'll throw it again, though. And Huebner's pass is on target. Caught, and once again, Harris making his mark, the freshman.
You know, I think if you go back and watch last year and see just the quarterback issues they had with Ertz getting hurt on the first play of the season, they had other injuries. Huebner comes in, you know, former walk-on. You're not really sure what you're going to get out of this guy, and he throws a nice deep ball. He really matured and developed throughout the season, and they're really excited that they found a guy that they weren't really counting on to begin with, and he's developed into a nice little quarterback and a good backup here for Jesse Ertz.
Throws the ball again to Isaiah Harris. Cut down to the 50. Last year, Huebner threw 9 touchdown passes and over 1,800 passing yards, and he ran for over 600 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns from the quarterback spot.
Well, and that's what you're going to get, and that's what they look for out of quarterbacks with this offense, and we mentioned it time and time again, is the quarterback run game, the quarterback power. They bring the extra blocker. They get one more guy than you can stack defensively in the box. So it is an advantage for them schematically to have these running quarterbacks, and he's no different. And I think when you watch him, the thing that really I think that they're excited about is how much he controls the huddle. And he demands and commands this offense when he gets in the football game. And he's developed not only his arm strength, his running ability, but just his leadership as he controls this offense.
Barnes running downhill for 6 yards on first down. Barnes, a redshirt freshman, will have a chance to carry again. We've already seen Dalvin Warmack run for 43 yards on a play today, which was longer than any rushing play Kansas State had all of last year when their best run was 35 yards, and that was in the bowl game loss to Arkansas. A Florida Atlantic player needs medical attention right now. It's safety and younger brother, former receiver Jensen Stoshak. That's Jake Stoshak. 49-7 Kansas State. Let's look at today's player perspective from Ben Lieber. Let's turn the clock back to last weekend, Ben, and let's talk the response to the ending of the Central Michigan-Oklahoma State game. Remember, the misapplication of the rule after the intentional grounding on 4th down, the untimed down for Central Michigan, and the Hail Mary touchdown pass you see here.
Well, I know that there's been a lot of controversy around this play and what they should do. Do they open up Pandora's box if there's some sort of appeal process on some of these misapplication of the rules type of plays? And I say, don't worry about that. Do the right thing if you're the NCAA. They put so much pressure in college football on wins and losses. You lose one game, and that changes the livelihood a lot of times of coaches, players, organizations. And when they get it wrong, let's just say that this has huge implications for Oklahoma State down the road, and they keep this one loss that really shouldn't be on the books. Now you've got to answer that question about, are they going to a different bowl game? It's the amount of money that the Big 12 pulls in. You know, I just don't understand why they ask the players to be so accountable to the behavior off the field, on the field, coaches the same way, and then when the NCAA and the officials mess up a call, how do you not keep those guys accountable too? I just don't understand that.
Now the accountability, one aspect of it comes in as Huebner keeps the ball here and is hit hard on the running play. The accountability comes in the suspension, but on a bigger scale, we're talking about a play that should not have occurred. And,
right.
I generally think you have to be very, very careful with how after the fact you look at official rulings. But it was a play, Ben, that never should have happened.
Right.
60 minutes of football were played, and a play that legally should not have happened was played after the 60 minutes of football concluded.
And again, I don't think that if you implement a rule where you can challenge some of these things and flip-flop wins and losses, that's going to do anything to the integrity of the game. I don't think it's all of a sudden going to, create this mass chaos where everybody's going to, file in appeals for things that happen in the second quarter that decide the football game.
There's a fumble by Isaiah Harris on the run after the catch, and Florida Atlantic jumps on it. Turnover, Kansas State, their first today. O.C. Rose punched it out, and Herb Miller appeared to jump on it.
But on the is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Florida Atlantic.
As we'll see the replay here, it's just a nice little punch out. You're taught all the time, get the ball on the outside towards the sideline, away from the defenders. He doesn't do what he's taught, and the defender does a great job of recognizing that and attacking the football. So kind of early here in the fourth quarter, finally FAU causes a turnover. Let's see if they can do something with it. Have a good feeling as they walk off this field today.
Second forced fumble this year by O.C. Rose. And the first turnover forced today by Florida Atlantic. They'll start at the 20-yard line. And we see Daniel Parr, a redshirt freshman from Jupiter, Florida. He's in the game now at quarterback. And an incompletion on first down. Just to revisit, I don't think you're opening up Pandora's box, because you're talking about such an extremely unique situation with what happened last week. You would very, very rarely, one in several hundred games, probably ever venture into these waters.
Well, correct. And again, we're not asking for people to have an appeals process where it's a first quarter missed call or second quarter missed call. We're talking about end of game situations like
this. A play that
this.
shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and I don't think that it has to be like, oh, we got to have a rule and this rule's gonna be black and white. No, it's common sense. To me, it's a common sense rule that if it applies for this game where there's a misapplication of the rules, an extra play was given, well, common sense would say, like, they messed up, you recognize that, you suspended those officials for 2 weeks, well then let's do the right thing and give the win to Oklahoma State and not have this on their resume. And it could negatively affect them as they get into, let's say they win out.
Yep.
And they win the Big 12, and now does the playoff committee look like, well, they've got one loss and we have to go off that one loss, or do you take in consideration, well, that one loss shouldn't have happened? And I think you take that guesswork out if the NCAA would go back and do the right thing and give them the win.
There have been years in the past, as we all know, where due to off-the-field improprieties that were discovered after the fact, that wins have been vacated. I mean, that is a frequent occurrence, to be honest with you. There's a running play on third down after the turnover and nowhere to go. Kansas State's defense delivering big hits on Kerith White. Trent taking.
Ruling on the field. Runner was short of the line of the game. First down, Kansas State.
Quickly, I mean, you bring up a great point, is how many wins are vacated and taken away for things that are
timeout on the field,
recruiting violations, coaching violations, things that happen, player behavior or coaching behavior off the field. These are off the field things, and they're taking away wins and losses and altering those things in the record books. Why not, for things that happen on the field, do the right thing?
On the field, we just saw Kansas State hold here on fourth down. Trent tanking with the big stop, and he'll have the football when we return. Dedicated fans staying the duration. Just under 10 minutes left. Kansas State rolling today. Their defense forcing 3 first-half turnovers, all a short field and subsequent touchdowns. It's a 49-7 lead. Now Alex Delton is back into play, some quarterback. Delton has had some snaps in the second half. So is Joe Huebner behind Jesse Ertz, who led the way in the first half as Kansas State built the big lead. That's a 4-yard run to the 25. This was a hold on downs by Kansas State's defense that got them the ball back after they fumbled. And Florida Atlantic recovered in the only turnover committed today by the K-State Wildcats.
Well, and how fast did Delton look on that quarterback read, that keeper? You talk about a dual threat guy. He has some nice feet, and he can really get up and go. I'm excited to see how he kind of matures as a redshirt freshman. You know, he can be awfully athletic and formidable in this offense.
They got Austin Katsarelis in as the fullback with a Winston Dibble roll, but it's Delton who will keep it. He gets a big block from Katsarelis downfield and the receivers. There's a flag down, so hold the phone, but right now it's a touchdown run for Delton.
Just like what I talked about.
Holding, offense, number 12. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Second down.
That's going to be freshman out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Corey Sutton, a receiver. You can see him right there in the top right of your screen. Again, how many of these holding penalties have we seen where the defender is trying to get off, won the battle at the point of attack, and the guy continues to hold? You know, it's I'd like to say it's a freshman mistake, but we've seen it all across the board, really, with both football teams. But I have to point out, Alex Delton, when he runs with the football, I mean, he looks like a true running back. And again, with this quarterback run game, you get a couple blockers in front, then it becomes a numbers game, and you get an athletic quarterback like that, they can make plays and continue to make plays like we just saw.
Another marker.
False start, offense, number 83, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Been 13 penalties for 131 yards today for Kansas State. That is way out of character.
And I've been in those locker rooms before with Coach Snyder, and he's going to come in and he's going to let the players know that it's not about the score. It's not about the 49-7 as it stands right now. He's going to focus on the things that they have to improve on, and he hates mental mistakes. He hates the self-inflicted wounds. I guarantee he's not going to be a happy camper when he goes in that locker room tonight.
We'll see the feet of Delton and head down. Never really looked like he was thinking about pitching on that option keeper. Turns the corner and runs it down to the 9-yard line.
Well, again, just watch how everything is set up with the blocking scheme. They get the running back, Alex Barnes, out in front, and now it's numbers. You get some guys pulling on the offensive line, and just look out those feet, how patient they are, keeps his shoulders square. You can see why he was a 23rd ranked dual threat quarterback coming out of high school, because this guy can really run, has great vision, great feet. Go!
At the 9, we'll see his vision and his feet and his ability to cut and his ability to run it into the end zone. Alex Delton. The touchdown celebration delayed, but nonetheless, even after the penalty earlier, he gets into the end zone to stretch the lead, 55-7.
Tell you what, I just mentioned the vision. Everything kind of gets bottled up in front of him. Keeps his eyes searching for some sort of green grass. He sees it on the right-hand side, and he has some jets. He puts that foot in the ground and gets upfield. Such quick feet, such explosive feet. Once he grasps this offense a little bit more, we haven't really seen him throw the football much. We haven't seen the total package, but if it's anything like he can run the football, he is going to be a big-time weapon for years to come.
McCrane's extra point. Alex Delton has 7 rushes for 37 yards today, and this touchdown from 9 yards out, bottled up, swerves outside, gets a downfield block from a receiver that didn't result in a penalty, and it's a touchdown for Delton. Alex Delton runs it in for a touchdown. One of 3 quarterbacks who have played today for Kansas State. Jesse Ertz, the starter, and Delton and Hubner have both played in the second half. Delton's 9-yard run capped a 4-play 29-yard drive after a hold on downs. 100 seconds on the touchdown drive, and Kansas State with a commanding 56-7 lead at home against Florida Atlantic. Home game with Missouri State next week. Road game to start Big 12 play in 2 weeks against West Virginia. Devin Singletary running it 2 yards deep out of the end zone. And forced out of bounds up near the 35-yard line on the return for Singletary from Deerfield Beach, Florida, a freshman. Well, a little bit more of Daniel Parr in quarterback. He started to play in the 4th quarter for the Owls, with Jason Driscoll's day over with.
we're going to get a lot of the backup and substitutes for Kansas State's defense as well. Get them some game experience. Always necessary, needed, especially early in the season, as you laid it out, they've got another game that's should on paper be winnable in the next game, and then they start Big 12 action in a really a tough game, tough matchup with West Virginia.
Parr's in trouble. The pressure. Trey Moore on the pressure. Forced the short hop pass to Pico Harrison. Now the Big 12 schedule for Kansas State alternates road home for the duration. There's never going to be multiple conference games in a row at home or trips out on the road within conference play.
And you know, you might look at that when you're at West Virginia, you're home against Texas Tech, then you got a big one at Oklahoma, then you come home again against Texas, and like you said, you go back and forth, and you might think, well, it's hard to kind of get in a rhythm. Like, wouldn't you want to have a couple either road games or a couple of home games? But knowing that the players see the schedule, it's actually kind of nice that you can mentally prepare yourself just to be at home, and then you know that you're going to be on the road. I think it's sometimes harder when you have 2 home games back-to-back, and then you got to be on the road twice in the week, 2 back-to-back road games. I mean, I actually like the fact that mentally, from a player's perspective, you kind of bounce back and forth between home and away.
Ray Price with a sack of Daniel Parr, and Florida Atlantic's afternoon will note that they are now 1 for 13 on 3rd down, with Ray Price getting the big sack on 3rd and 10. Florida Atlantic had allowed 9 sacks in their first 2 games. Price records that sack a moment ago. The punt down by Florida Atlantic. Kansas State will take over at their 34-yard line. All right, the Jimmy John's freaky fast player of the game. We don't get chances often to give this to the fullback, but when he runs for 4 touchdowns, it's got to go to Winston Dimmel.
Yeah, when you get 4 touchdowns, you know, not exactly freaky fast. He's not going to blow you away with his straight line speed, but this guy's a gamer. I mean, he blocks as a lead blocker like a fullback should. You get in a short yardage goal line situations. He runs really well with his pads in front of his toes. Tough to bring down. He's a weapon in the pass game with a little pop pass and a lot of flares and swing passes out of the backfield as well. I mean, he is an impressive all-around offensive weapon for Kansas State.
They're getting snaps for both of their backup quarterbacks here in the second half. Delton engineered the last drive, and now this drive is in the capable hands of Joe Huebner, and the duty here is to just hand it off. And a tough run by Alex Barnes. Lowers his body and seeks out contact at the end of the run and surges up to midfield, so a pickup of 16 yards.
Well, and I know that you mentioned it early in the game, but you can't forget to mention when we talk about Winston Dimmel that who his dad is.
Dana Dimmel.
His dad is the offensive coordinator that is calling the plays for his son to get the ball in these short yardage goal line situations. And I have to think that it's hard, I think, as a father to not only want to give your kid the best chance for success, but also looking at the skill set of all the players and where he fits in with that. And I think he does a nice job of finding that balance, understand that, yes, it is his son, but his son is also one of the best offensive weapons that you have. So it may look like on paper there's favoritism, but when he's as productive as he is, I don't think that you can deny the fact that he deserves the ball in those situations. Until he gets stopped, keep doing it.
Well, here's how productive he's been the last 2 years, Ben. 42 touches in the running game or passing game, and 12 touchdowns in 42 touches. And I like the hard run here by Barnes. I'm sorry, that was Warmack. Barnes has run on this drive, but that was Dalvin Warmack, known for being more elusive. But he was looking for some contact at the end of that run down to the Florida Atlantic 40-yard line.
Well, and so some of these situations, it's not about fighting for the extra yards and, maybe making a risky, jump cut or something like that. It's just about preserving the football, holding on to it, doing the safe play. But you're right, with Warmack in the football game, he does give you that home run threat. We saw earlier in this football game a 43-yard run, the most explosive run that a running back has had here in a very long time. And it just speaks volumes about when you talk about Alex Barnes is getting a lot of carries. Charles Jones will start the game, the best all-around player for them, and Justin Silman will get a lot of carries. And we just mentioned Winston Dimmel, the fullback out of the backfield that makes a lot of plays. So you throw in the quarterback run game and this young but very talented receiving core, this offense can be awfully dangerous as they get in a Big 12 play.
Warmack slices through the defense to the 29.
And you're just going to see it right here. It's going to be this little B-gap hit that Warmack just hits. You get a hat on a hat, and again, it's the leverage that the offensive linemen are playing with. They don't just get their hat on the defender. They turn their hips and point towards the hole. That's what opens everything up and creates that big void that Warmack ran through.
The run for Warmack, 9 yards, as the clock is under 5 minutes left in the game. Kept this time by quarterback Joe Huebner. And races up for a first down. Well, part of getting the job done is when you face an opponent that on paper you should beat. Kansas State, 86% of their games against unranked opponents since 2011. Just about as good as anyone else in the Big 12, with only Oklahoma and Baylor barely bettering that winning percentage of Kansas State's.
Well, we talked about, again, when we were talking about how Bill Snyder kind of built this legacy in this program here, it was scheduling those easier unranked opponents, to build up some confidence. And again, it was really all about getting to that magical 6 wins to be bowl eligible, knowing that that's more money, that's more exposure, that's more of a chance for him to talk about what he's building at Kansas State. And that sort of thing is still in his blueprint for scheduling, but a lot of that's changing, just like the Big Ten no longer is going to do a lot of the FCS games. The Big 12 is kind of getting away from that as well, and that's why you don't see Kansas State opening, especially on the road at Stanford. That just doesn't happen right here. So changes are coming for Kansas State. You're going to see a lot more tougher non-conference opponents, but you go back to that graphic, and that's really how they built this program from really the ashes into something that is a national prominent team that people know about now.
17 bowl games at Snyder's time here at Kansas State. By the time they snap it, they'll go into 3 minutes remaining. And again, Missouri State on the schedule next week, and at West Virginia for Big 12 play in 2 weeks, the conference opener. There was already a conference game today, and TCU easily dispatching of Iowa State to bounce back from the loss in overtime and double overtime against Arkansas last week. Huebner throwing the ball. Isaiah Harris, the freshman, with his 4th catch of the day.
Going back to Bill Snyder, I think the one thing that everybody continues to talk about in his 25th year is, when is it over for Bill Snyder? When is he going to step away? What's this program going to look like when he walks away, and who's going to take over? But I think you and I can attest to this after meeting with him yesterday. He's as energetic and as alert and with it as any coach that's half his age in this league. So if there's an indication when it comes to energy level, I think he still has it.
Absolutely, no doubt.
It's still hard to imagine that, it's not just this one year. He could coach again for 2-3 years after this.
Bowl game last year, it was a difficult ride to get there with the early season injuries of Jesse Ertz and Dante Barnett. They won their first 3 games. They won their last 3 games of the regular season. Sandwiched in between was a 6-game losing skid. But late season wins got them bowl eligible, and then lost in the Liberty Bowl to Arkansas. And how that bowl game will look for 2016 remains to be seen. But they are about to put win number 1 officially in the books here in 90 seconds.
Well, I laugh because how many times did we get that answer out of Coach Snyder yesterday in our meetings? it remains to be seen.
He's right, though.
You know, if you ask about a player or a certain facet of his team, well, that remains to be seen. That he's always in coach mode, always in the present, always in the here and now. Never wants to, you know, project anything super positive or make any sort of predictions. It was the very similar answer we got is that remains to be seen.
A running play for Huebner, the quarterback, and into the end zone with a minute to play. To put the finishing touches on win number 1 of the season.
Well, why not? Ertz had a rushing touchdown. Alex Delton comes in the game. He has a rushing touchdown. And why not Joe Huebner? You got to show some love to all the quarterbacks. He gets in the football game, and you know that they're just going to run the clock out and run the football. But it's nice that Joe Huebner can come in, you know, made a few plays, throwing the football down the field, but he gets a chance to sniff the end zone and really, you know, the icing on the cake as they try to put another point on this FAU team that just got grossly overwhelmed defensively and then offensively as well with all the turnovers.
Well, he's got a nose for the end zone. Joe Huebner ran it in 13 times last season, and this rushing touchdown extends the lead to 63-7. Let's look back today with our CC's Pizza game summary. 3 first-half turnovers, 4 overall forced today by Kansas State. They converted the 3 first-half turnovers for 21 points. Winston Dimmel has a career-best 4 rushing touchdowns today, all of them in the first half. And Kansas State has churned out 336 yards on the ground and 7 rushing touchdowns. This is between running backs Charles Jones, Justin Sillman, Dalvin Warmack, and Alex Barnes, and the 3 quarterbacks, Jesse Ertz, Joe Huebner, and Alex Delton.
You know, it's really been a team effort. We got a return for touchdown in the kicking game.
Yeah.
You got the points off the turnovers. You get just forcing the turnovers wasn't just enough. They got points off it offensively as well. And Kansas State just grinded and pounded that ball running the football. So really all 3 phases showed up today and just hammered FAU.
Devin Singletary with the return as we get a Fox College football game break. Here's Mike Hill in Los Angeles.
Colorado.
You know, earlier, Ben, you were talking about Kansas State and scheduling going forward, and they've got a home and home coming up here in a couple of years with Mississippi State, and we've seen it this year. September has been as good as it's been in a long time in college football because of the emphasis on increasing schedules, increasing strength of schedules, and resulting in games played between bigger name opponents against one another and just more competitive. This particular game doesn't reflect it, but around college football, September's been very, very good.
Yeah, and there's always, you know, a cause and effect to these decisions, and all these commissioners in the Power 5 are saying, listen, we want the strength of schedule is such an important piece of how you get in the college football playoff that we need to schedule bigger games against other Power 5 teams. You got to get away from the FCS teams and look at how that affects these teams financially. A lot of these FCS teams need to come play these high-powered football teams to get that paycheck, to get that, you know, $600,000, $700,000, sometimes $1 million, over $1 million paychecks that really help their athletic programs out. And a lot of that's going to go by the wayside from this new rule and this new emphasis on strength of schedule.
Well, that will be something that will be discussed more going forward. But today in Manhattan, Kansas, the finishing touches, the final seconds, the last play is at hand of a Kansas State victory. 63-7 is the final score. That last running play will do it. And Ben, Kansas State now evens up their record at 1-1.
Yeah, again, it was just a team effort. You know, they really came out and established a new line of scrimmage defensively. They pounded the rock offensively. Things worked out. The points off turnovers. Just a great, great team win in all 3 phases.
And with that, Florida Atlantic now falls to 1-2 on the season. The final score today before the 28th straight sellout crowd in Manhattan, Kansas at Bill Snyder Family Stadium is Kansas State 63, Florida Atlantic 7. Later for many of you here on Fox College Football, we'll go to Lubbock for the Red Raiders of Texas Tech against Louisiana Tech. For Ben Lieber, Leslie McCaslin, and our crew in Manhattan, Kansas, I'm Mark Followell. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of Fox College Football.